Eva, are you here? No, I don't think so. Yes. No, that's not Eva. I respect the enthusiastic hand waving though. All right. 1 o'clock. Noon, otherwise known as noon. All right. Do you want to say anything, Lisa, or shall I kick us off?
Go. Why don't you kick us off? Yes.
Okay, great. I'm going to start recording then. Welcome back, everyone, for our second session. The goal of the time in between was to access marvel and wonder and pay attention to yourself while you're experiencing it in your day, whether you're working, whether you're interacting with other people in your household, your dog, people out in the world, whatever it is. So what I'd love to start with, and just keep in mind, you would be recorded. You have the option to just have your voice if you'd like. You can mark the thing, just stop the video if you'd like, and just have your voice or voice and video. I don't think this is being shared with anybody other than people within this network. But if you are open to having a conversation with me, what I'd like you to do is to raise your hand, and I'll promote you over to being a panelist. We'll talk for a moment about your experience, and you would be doing this as a service to the rest of the people that are a part of this, because they would like to know what people's experience are, and some people learn better that way. All right, Ellen, I'm going to invite you over. That is delighted Lisa. All right. And for this next part, I'm going to change us to gallery view. Ellen, I'm going to unmute you. Oh, you are unmuted. Hello, Ellen.
Hello.
Hello, great. So can you tell us an example of a moment in the last hour and a half in which you accessed marvel?
Well, first, I just wrote down 4 things that were on my mind that I thought might get in the way of marveling, so I could put those aside.
Beautiful.
And then I tried to think, what would a toddler do with this time? And I was trying to think also a bit about a couple of things that I wanted to do. I wanted to play with my quilt fabric. I wanted to play the piano. And I felt a need to get the floor cleaned. So I tried to think about the mind of the toddler who would love playing in the water. And I approached it with the marvel of, if you gave a toddler a bucket of water, how much fun they could have. And I didn't try to do anything perfectly. I just cleaned the floor in the way a toddler might.
Beautiful.
And I banged on the piano like a toddler might, and I played with soft like a toddler might. And I played the same thing over and over, this one line that I'm struggling to learn. And what was amazing is then I played the whole line in sequence, and I played it the best I've ever played it, because
Lovely.
I really touched that toddler.
Mm-hmm.
And some of what was driving my story is I was really inspired by a recent Touchpoints webinar on self-compassion. And so I was trying to be compassionate to the adult, but also to what a toddler would really like and enjoy.
May I ask a question, Ellen?
Sure.
So as you can, I want you to see if you can go back to the moment in which you had the bucket of water and you were cleaning the floor.
Yes.
Can you recall the actual sensation in your body of how you would interpret marvel or wonder or the state of mind of a toddler while washing the floor? Do you remember what the sensation was in your body?
There was a sense of comfort
Okay.
at being able to have this water and just do with it what I wanted. And it felt so comforting on my hands. And I
Mhm.
didn't mind that it went up my arm. And I kind of was splashing the cloth because a toddler wouldn't be concerned about squeezing that um, cloth out dry. And
Great.
so I got more sensory experience in my hands and in my arms.
So there was a fair amount of touch that was happening. You were feeling sensations in your skin. And do you remember at all in the rest of your body if that sense of freedom, I'm using that word, you didn't, but it sounded like there was a bit of freedom involved and comfort. Do you remember it showing up in any other part of your body? Your heart and your neck and your jaw, anything like that?
What I remember is I found myself smiling,
Okay, nice.
and I remember um, thinking that this is fun and I should approach more of these chores with the eyes of the toddler.
Excellent. Okay, you've given us a great springboard for what we're doing next. I would like to invite someone else over, but I want to touch on some things that Ellen said. Ellen, I'm going to bring you back over to the attendees. I really appreciate you, that act of service of stepping forward and being willing to share your experience. It's helped me and it's helped a lot of others. So I'm going to bring you back over as an attendee. Great. All right. So what caught my attention in what Ellen was saying was right toward the end. A number of things caught my attention, of course, but toward the end, she said a smile came to her face. It just sort of came in inadvertently, and you heard Ellen talk about things that she was trying, a sense of I would like to in the future, I should do more of this, those sorts of things. But the trying and the should or any of that effort wasn't a part of her smile. The smile came automatically. And so I'd love to propose. I love that Ellen has tactics in order to get there. And I think that use whatever you can, acting as if with the toddler, however you need to get to that place of marvel. Another perspective, which may work for some of you, is that accessing marvel and wonder is natural. That's actually our most effortless way of getting to marvel and wonder is not getting in the way of the process. Because as grown-ups, we learn things, which is really handy so that we can solve problems, so that we can anticipate danger, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But those things that we learn, they become barriers between ourselves and the beginner's mind, between our sense of the world is open and new and possible, because we feel that we need to anticipate, we need to prepare. Those are all good things, but we don't have to be beholden to it. Just knowing that all the world is made up of stories, that our understanding of what is so, what is real, is in itself a story, which is not to say that it's not real. It's just that's how we understand what is real. That's how we make sense. We ascribe language to the chair, to the vacuum, all of these things. These names are all contextualized within a big wide web of stories. And so if that is the case, then we can actually use that fabric to help us access freshness and immediacy and newness of what Ellen experienced with washing the floor. How great would it be if all our chores were done with such sense of delight, of like getting my hands in the water. So would love to have one other person just to kind of give a different perspective, another attendee willing to come forward and share what they experienced around marvel and wonder and just with some task that happened. Anybody willing to step forward? Really appreciative of Ellen. That was the first person to step forward is the hardest, or I thought so. Now it's going to be the second person that steps forward is a real servant to the group. It might end up being you, Lisa. Anybody else? Give you a shot. Thank you, Amy. All right, Amy, bringing you forward. Let's bring that over here so that we can see everybody. I'm going to really take in this graphic that you've offered me here. Responsibility on top, harmony and developer at the bottom. Nice pyramid. Hello, Amy. Let me see if, yep, I do have the power to unmute you. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Great. So can you give us a little picture of what your experience was?
Yeah, I mean, I really just went outside and took a breath of fresh air, shut my eyes and listened to the birds chirping and marveling about what are they really, what are they saying to each other? Just, yeah, that's what I did. So.
Excellent. Okay. And so you asked yourself this question, or you asked the universe this question of what are they saying to each other? What happened next?
Right. I really just kept on listening and was taking in the sounds that they were chirping to each other.
Yeah. So you heard the sounds. Do you remember, and you don't have to share this, but do you remember if any images came to you for no particular reason? And we're not trying to make meaning out of the images that came. I just wonder if you paid attention to any images that came in your imagination.
Not really. I really don't remember any images. I guess maybe I was just thinking about birds.
Right, right. And in thinking about birds, were you shaping the sounds a little bit, trying to remember qualities, ascribing descriptive language to it?
No.
Okay. Were you, this is lovely. So you were really just kind of getting into this completely present place.
Okay.
Would you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. How did that feel?
Oh, it really was just relaxing. I mean, just sitting out there, just listening, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So already we have a connection. We have a pattern, and we're going to be working with patterns in this second session. Comfort, relaxing, very similar. So Ellen achieved this place of comfort as she was playing the piano, washing the floor, doing a variety of, she listed several things that she did and did them as if a toddler, but then also found that she played the piece much better than she had before. I'm assuming the floor got washed. She enjoyed herself, and the word that she brought forward was comfort. Now, the word that Amy is bringing forward by just going outside and listening to a bird is relaxed. So how lovely already in terms of us setting intentions. I rewrote some of these right here, but this idea of curiosity and joy, inspire curiosity and joy right at the top. Sounds like Ellen and Amy both achieved that, a curiosity and a level of joy in the form of comfort. These are, I'm parsing words here, but I think we can all assume, we can all agree that aspects of that just happened by a moment. So the idea next, and thank you, Amy, is there anything that you would like to add before I welcome you back to your fellow attendees?
No, not really. Thank you.
Okay. I appreciate it, Amy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that, so what about when you are in a situation where you don't have the ability to do whatever you want to do, where you don't, the scenario is not so you can bang on the keys like a toddler and have a good time. Maybe you're in front of a board meeting or something like that, and you just kind of goofing off and being like a toddler and throwing your papers up in the air wouldn't necessarily be the best course of action, but you still want to be in that beginner's mind, that marvel space. So Amy gave us a hint and Ellen gave us a hint, which is we're going to get into our bodies. We're going to experience what our bodies feel like right now. And we're going to become this pure witness. Oh, there's a room full of very serious looking people dressed in business attire. They're all looking at me. They have an expectation. They're wondering what I'm going to say. I'm wondering what I'm going to say. I have prepared some things, but I'm just going to be here for the moment and marvel. How amazing is this? That we're in a boardroom and you all are here and you're interested in whatever you need to do to be present in your body, and suddenly the marvel is there. And like for Amy, it may not, getting to a place of pure presence, there's not a whole lot of language going on inside of you, but you're still allowing yourself to be comfortable, allowing yourself to be however you are in that moment of presence. So that's what we're going to do in the next step, which is we're going to start to pull together a story. I want to reiterate that when I say story, it includes once upon a time stories, or let me tell you a story, or this reminds me of when I was, 23 and ... Those are all stories for sure. But so is a conversation. It's a story in pieces back and forth. So is giving an update to your superior or to the people that you're working with. So is like you deliver a story in order to reassure someone on the phone. All of those are stories. So how do you know which story to tell? So we've started by accessing this place of marvel and wonder. And what that is we have made room to receive information that we ordinarily wouldn't get. And I would like to propose that part of that information is the actual truth of the situation. We, as smart people, get in the way of the truth because we sometimes confuse truth with facts. Facts are verifiable, they are measured, they come, in a list of data. They are very easy to say that they are true. And I'm not saying that they're false, but it's not the whole truth. And I dare say it's not the part of the truth that changes your behavior. I don't think people are motivated to change their behavior by a fact, unless that fact touches on a deeper truth that is connected to an image and a feeling that's deep in the subconscious of who you are. So people have been trying to get people to change their behavior for the last couple months. Stay at home, wear a mask, wash your hands. People have been trying to tell 4-year-olds to wash their hands forever. Who has gotten through to those 4-year-olds? People came to I have 2 entities, How to Story, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm teaching you how to storytell, and then Sparkle Stories, where I write and record stories for kids. So there's lots of them over there. I did one about washing hands. The response was, now my child washes their hands, because now they think they're a raccoon and they're washing their paws in anticipation of something. They want to, because it went to their subconscious and they changed their behavior. I could have said over and over again, we need to, for the good of the country, wash our hands to get the germs and viruses off of all these facts. Yes, I'll wash my hands. No, I want to be a raccoon. That image of being a responsible raccoon had way more agency. So you can access the truth, which is more mythological, more image and feeling driven than facts, which are more measured, by making yourself available to the golden thread. Now, every story has a golden thread, and the golden thread is the truth that weaves through it, and it's the truth that gets you to change behavior when you're telling a transformative story, when you're telling a story that is meant to inform or engage or motivate. So the practice that we're going to do is to recognize when we've encountered something true, but we're not going to do that with our neocortex. We're going to do that with our limbic system. We're going to do that by paying attention to what gets our attention. We're going to pay attention to, you can be totally engaged in, a nonfiction book on how to be your best self. And if there's a sound, somewhere in the distance of a baby crying, suddenly that's where your attention's going to go, even though you're made an intention to, like, I'm going to get through this book, etc. But the baby crying has just alerted you that there's a child that needs something. You're motivated to go. You didn't even think about it. You may not have even consciously heard that baby cry, but suddenly you're distracted and you feel alert. That's the kind of thing that we're going to pay attention to. So you're going to do some similar stuff. Continue to wash the floor, go outside if you need to, engage with human beings. You know, you don't have to be in a placid place. The goal right now is to actually, these things, these are our goals. A nice byproduct of these goals is serenity and calm, but our goal is not to feel calm and serenity. So we're not necessarily going into our life and going to meditate for the next hour and a half. We're going to live our life. We're going to do our things. And if we encounter situations that irk us, irritate us, trip us up, great. Pay attention to that and do the sorts of things where I was asking our two folks that stepped forward. What do you feel now that you've noticed that expression? Now that you've noticed the sock on the floor? Now that you've noticed that, you know, the pepper is out and you're wondering, why is the pepper out? And what does that inspire in you? You're going to pay attention to yourself and how you feel, and you're going to pay attention to where you feel it in your body and take note of that. And then through the course of the next hour and a half, you will perhaps notice patterns. So if you're engaging with your child and they say something in one aspect, you feel irritated for some reason, and you're trying to sort, like, well, where's the irritation coming from? Oh, it's not actually the child, it's a siren in the distance or something like that. And then later on, you'll engage with somebody else and you're in this placid place and you'll suddenly feel irritated. There's another siren. So you're making a pattern. Sirens make me feel irritated. And so that's our goal for the next chunk of time, is to look for a thread. Look for things that are consistently getting your attention, because you might have access to a useful truth. This doesn't have to be an earth-shattering truth. Sirens make me irritated. There's the truth. And you've done that by paying attention to where your attention is going. So in the chat or via Lisa, are there any questions at this point before we part ways and you go into gathering research? And Lisa, if you're able to read better than I am, you please ask any question for people.
You know, I did want to draw the connection that things bubbled up at the same time, just as you were talking about walking into the business room. Stacy commented that she wondered if she could access the marvel and wonder around new tasks that have developed in this time that she's not naturally curious about. And I thought that I just thought that was a nice connection. And yes, you see this question from Tina.
Yeah, right at the bottom here.
Yeah.
So can you talk about the useful truth again, please? So useful is a great word. Because the reality is that we're trying to get here. And in my experience, explaining things to people is less effective than finding, through paying attention to who they are, what's their deeper truth in relation to these things. So if I really want to see and hear you, me saying I see and hear you is maybe not going to be as effective to this particular individual than demonstrating that I see and hear you. Mm-hmm. And so I've discovered that by paying attention to them. Now, another thing maybe, let's go back to the mask thing. So I list off reasons to not just children, but adults, all the different reasons why I think you should wear a mask when you go into the grocery store. I am going to list off facts. And so that's one option. The other option is I pay attention to you. And as we're talking about masks, I notice that one particular thing that I just said seems to have landed with you. So that's a clue that I've just accidentally discovered a truth. So I'm going to tease that truth out a little bit because I noticed that I relaxed when they relaxed. We both discovered some connection right there. I'm going to follow it up now by finding just the right image for us to gather around. And we're going to use that image from this point forward, like the raccoons and washing hands. It doesn't have to be as, childlike and imaginative as that. It could be just responsibility. This word responsibility. I'm taking responsibility. That's important to me as an adult. I'm going to be a grown-up. Suddenly, there's images that are coming along with that and feelings that come along with that. We're going to be grown-ups together, and we're going to go do this, whatever it is. I'm not pushing an agenda one way or the other. I'm using it as an example. So I hope that's useful. So we're at
There was
126.
one
Yep,
question in the Q&A, which was, is there another word below or beside the word pattern on your list for practice? Pay attention to our attention, notice the feelings
bottom word.
associated, and just notice if there's a pattern.
Right. Yep. The most important thing is in the next section, you're going to try to just live your life and pay attention to how you respond to it. And then before we come on in an hour and a half, you're going to just review over that and see if there's any patterns that are there. And then we'll learn from some folks that will step forward and share their experience.
Okay.
Great. Okay, team. See you in a bit.
Thank you.